Never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming.
How's it, guys? Welcome to New Level Interviews with myself and Warren Brosnihan. I'm a real big fan of this man. He has inspired me a lot. And man, I just want to thank you for taking time to come on the show and to share your vision for life after rugby, how it's been, and how you have faced a few challenges and those kind of things. But before I carry on, I just want to ask, who is Warren Brosnihan? What does he come for? Where does he come from? And why rugby? Why did you start off becoming a professional rugby player?
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you, Yvonne. And it's rugby's been an absolute blessing for me, and it's opened up so many doors. As a youngster, it was a dream of mine to play the game of rugby. My earliest rugby memory was 1981 when the Springboks toured New Zealand with the Flower Bomb series, and that really set a light of dream inside my heart to go out and play at the highest level and be able to play competitively, and wanted to play in all the big stadiums and all that around the world. And lucky enough, I managed to do that, and it was just through the blessing of God, really. And at the end of the day, who am I? I mean, I'm passionate. I'm a family man. I love my family. I've got a beautiful wife, 2 children, and I want to lead the best life that I can. And just passionate about life, and excited about what's coming when we emerge out of lockdown, and where we're going to go as a nation and as a world. Because I believe that what we're seeing at the moment is is significant, and it's disruption. And when we have disruption, change comes. And I think there's going to be massive changes coming for everyone going forward. And I just hope and pray that they're all positive, and I believe they will be.
Yeah, no, definitely. I must say it's crazy times that we are in now, and it's going to take a different kind of mindset to actually push through this and to say, doesn't matter what has happened. The circumstances doesn't dictate what you can still do in this. Is just to stay calm and to, I think it's a very good time to reanalyze what you're actually busy with and where do you need to go. So, yeah, but Warren, I must say, I love your commentating as well. I must say one of the games that really stand out for me, I don't know if you can remember it, it was in 2007, Sharks versus Crusaders with yourself and Andy commentating. I was sitting on the edge of my seat, and I'm like, man, firstly, Odwa butchers the try. I'm like, oh gosh, the Sharks are going to lose this game. And then at the end, Odwa, I think it was like 38 minutes, scored the winning try. Ron Pino converting the kick.
Yeah, he scored it I'll never forget, left-hand corner, scored it. That was an amazing rugby. Sure.
Yeah, I must say,
incredible.
I've been looking all over for that game, but on that note, how has commentating been for you? Is it difficult to get in commentating? Because I think a lot of rugby players have that mindset. Okay, I'm gonna play rugby at my bestest, and then afterwards I'm gonna be a commentator. But the thing is, there's only a handful of people that can actually step into that media space. And I just want to ask you that.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm not going to say it's not easy. It's difficult. It takes a lot of preparation, application. And when that year, 2007 was my first year. It was the first year that I was retired. I sometimes when I listen to some of that commentary, I shudder when I listen because of the mistakes I was making. And I was very lucky to have a team with me, and some people who helped me along the way. A guy like Malcolm Russell from Supersport, and various people that helped me and guided me. I never expected to become a commentator. I'll be honest with you. It wasn't something, if you'd come to me when I was still playing rugby, if you'd come to me in 2006 when I was still playing, and I was at the Bulls or just coming back to the Bulls from Italy, and you'd said to me, what are your goals for next year? I wouldn't have written down being a commentator, because I never thought that someone would be interested in hearing what I've got to say about the game of rugby. I never thought that I'd be given that opportunity. And it's amazing how it happened and transpired. And I got the call on the third. I'll never forget, I was working in the medical services industry. I was down at St. Augustine's Hospital in Durban on a business call, and I got a call at about 2 o'clock that afternoon on the Thursday, and it was one of the guys from Supersport saying to me, listen, we've got a problem on Saturday. The Sharks are playing the Highlanders. Are you available? Can you do it? I said, well, that's ironic. I'm actually in Durban at the moment, but I'm flying back this evening. But I don't know if I can do it, but I'll jump in and see if I can do it. And when I finished that game, I really didn't think that they would ever ask me back. I'll be honest about it, because no one had told me about the different sound levels on the mic. So you've got these earphones on, you've got the microphone, and I've got on your dashboard that you got in front of you, you've got about 6 or 7 little switches. One that goes to the producer, one that's your co-commentator, one that's your sound, one that's the crowd noise, one that's like the special effects, another one that's the ref, so you can pick the ref up. Of course, now I'm sitting there, no one's told me what to do. I turn all these things up to full ball. So these things, I've got about all these voices blaring in my ears, and I can't even hear myself talk. I can't even hardly hear Andy talking. And I'm going through this commentary, and I thought, geez, after this, they'll never ask me back. I mean, I said to my wife, because I remember she was down, I said, babe, I think I've absolutely messed it up. I don't think the next week they asked me to go down to Durban again, and then the next week. And so you learn. And it's been an amazing journey, and to think that I've done it now for 10 years, I'm very proud of that, and feel very privileged to have been asked to do it. And as a passionate rugby supporter, I think just the ability for me, I think I've got the best view in the house. I love the game of rugby, and so I'm sitting pitch side on the side of the field, or I'm interviewing the guys afterwards. I think it's a real privilege to be able to do it.
I know, definitely, and I must say, I want to honor you for the hard work that you put in it as well. I must say, from a fan perspective, hearing your commentating is really great. But I must say, the combination of you and Andy, it's on another level. I just love it. You guys probably have a great relationship as well. But
I've got to be honest. All the anchor commentators. They call it the colour, and they call it the anchor. The anchor is your Andy Capistano, your Hugh Bladen, Matthew Pearce. And we have got some of the best anchor commentators in the whole world. I'm telling you, these guys are top class. They are so good at their job and what they do. And it's not easy. You go and take a TV, switch the sound off, and start talking, because that's what they do. There's no script. There's no nothing. These guys, those anchors, take the images that they get, and they don't have a script in front. There's nothing, and they talk off the cuff, and they put it together. And I'll tell you, I think we're very blessed, and I'm very blessed to work with them. I think we've got some of the best anchors in the world, and even our production with SuperSport is some of the best, and if not the best production of rugby that you're going to get anywhere in the world. That the guys that do the job of cutting and putting the whole, I call it a story. This viewer looks at it and goes and watches the game, but it's like a story. And it's a movie that they put together, and they're cutting that thing live while it's happening. And I promise you, we've got some of the best guys in the business here in South Africa, and it's a privilege to work with them.
No, that's awesome to hear, man. And Warren, so tell me, during your course of playing rugby as well, what has been the moment that stood out for you the most? That if you think back, putting on your boots, and that one specific memory in a game, or something that happened during a game, what was the best moment for you?
No, it's got to be. You're a South African, I'm a South African. Getting this. One, obviously playing for your franchise and the first Super Rugby tour and all that, amazing stuff. But when you play for your country for the first time, that just blows your socks off. And when you're standing there and you've got the national anthems going, and you've made all these sacrifices, and obviously the spectator or the viewer sees the person on the field at the time, doesn't realize, hey, what took place 10, 15 years previous to that to get you into that position. So it's all the sacrifices you've made along the line. And then when you hear that national anthem going, you're standing there, it gives me goosebumps every time I go through it. And so for me, it's my first game for South Africa against Australia. Ironically enough, happened to be at Loftus Versfeld, and I was originally a Durban boy. And so that Loftus Versfeld had a lot of, for me, it's had a lot of firsts. And one of the most significant, if not the most significant in my rugby career, was playing my first test for South Africa and being so lucky enough to score a try in that second half and beat Australia in that game. Was just amazing for me.
Yeah, I think that is every young boy's dream in South Africa, to play for the Springboks. I can remember growing up, the first thing that was handed to me was a rugby ball. And I think most of the guys, especially when you come in school, you have your role models and everyone that you look up to. And the only thing that you have in mind is that I'm going to become a professional rugby player. I'm going to become a Springbok. At the end of the day, there's only 22 jerseys when it comes to a match day. guys that can wear it in your squad, maybe let's say to like 40 or 45 guys in an entire group. So it's very limited when you look at the competition, especially that we have now. It's ridiculous how many great talent is coming up from youngsters. I mean, the youngsters today, I don't know what they're eating, but they're growing on another level. So the competition is very tight. And so the room for success with that is very limited. But there's so many opportunities, local and international. But I've also seen a lot of local talent that has been lost to like France or Italy or something like that. But you can also understand the capacity. We can only handle so much as a country. But to make sure that that growth is perfect. But whilst you were playing and you had all these factors in mind and you were still playing, was there something that you were starting to prepare for life after rugby? Or did you just have rugby in mind to say, okay, well, I'm just going to play rugby? Or did you actually have a plan B?
No, well, you see, there's talking about plan Bs and stuff like that. I mean, I listened to a talk from Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he goes on about the fact that having a plan B is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
Because if you have a plan B, you don't focus on plan A, and you're always looking for an excuse, and you don't focus on that plan A. So it depends how you view it. But talk about that plan B. I played my first game for the Sharks, 94, 95. I was still studying. I was studying to be a chiropractor of all things at that stage. Got to fourth year chiropractic. And then when I just about to finish my fourth year, got an offer to go play rugby league in Australia. And I took that offer up and tried to go back into my chiropractic studies when I came back in 97. And I was up here at the Lions that season. But it just didn't work out. So after that period, then I kind of went into a period of about 3-4 years where I just focused purely on the rugby. And I said, I'm going to give this thing 100% of my effort, 100% of my time, and I'm going to concentrate on it. And then when I finished and left to go overseas, I started to do a course through the Open University in the United Kingdom to start thinking about, hey, now you're getting closer now, you're over your 30s, you're going to be exiting the sport, you've got to start thinking about what you're going to be doing. And then when I finished off at the Bulls, those Wednesday afternoons Wednesday days that we used to traditionally get off, I'm not sure if they still have that in their calendar during the week in the preparation, but we used to get the Wednesday off. I used to go in and scrub in theatre at Montana Hospital in the north of Pretoria, and I had one of the surgeons there who helped me and was very, very good to me. And there was another guy who was an assistant that helped. And I was very much thinking, I've got to be prepared for life after rugby. It's going to be finishing, whether it's in 2 years or 3 years or 4, whatever it is, there's an end period, and you need to be able to transition into life thereafter. And it's a scary step. It really is, especially when you've been involved and you've had a stable paycheck for the last 10 years or whatever it is. The minute I'll never forget when that Currie Cup final was played in October 2006. In fact, I think it might have just been like a second or third. Sorry, my phone's just ringing there. The second or third of October, and we had to all come back for the team photo. I was no longer employed. My contract had come to an end, and it's a cut. And then I had a sponsored car. That sponsored car had to drive back to the sponsor, and my wife was pregnant. We were not pregnant. We had our first kid at that stage. Chaz was about 7 or 8 months old, and it's a scary, scary step, because then you got to step into the unknown. And that next Monday, it's not rugby. There's no rugby training to go to. You don't have to be anywhere at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you've got to start that walk. So it's a big step, but it's good. I mean, there's life after rugby, and there's a lot to look forward to. Your rugby career is a blessing that you can have, and if you use it, I believe, correctly, and you use your contacts and you use your life lessons that you get out of it, you can live the rest of it. You can pull it into the rest of your life, and realize that most rugby players, if you get out at the age of 35, you've done exceptionally well. There's very few Victor Matfields or Johan Ackermans that are playing to the age of 38 or whatever it is. Some are even exiting before that, maybe at 32, 33, and you've got a long life still to lead thereafter. And you've got to you've got to be thinking about what you're going to be doing and where you're going to be going and how you're going to do it and how you're going to lead your life and what principles you're going to follow and what your value system is and how you're going to be of benefit to an employee or employer, because you're going to become an employee of someone unless you're going to go and start your own business. But that might not be a great idea, because just going to open up a coffee shop when you never run one before just because you're a rugby player doesn't mean say you're going to be successful, and you can end up burning a lot of money, and before you know it, it's all gone, and then you've got to start from scratch again.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the thing is, on that as note as well, I've also seen a lot of guys who have come up to rugby players just to basically use their name to start off a business or something like that. And still the rugby player doesn't really know the key fundamentals to actually start a business or principles, or actually just the main thing of working out a budget. So I want to encourage all rugby players who are watching this, make sure that you sharpen your own skills as well, because it's very important to be in control of everything that you have and that what you steward and what you work with, to make sure that it is growing in a sustainable success for yourself. And yeah, so what in life after rugby for you as well? What was that key thing that kept you motivated to keep on going and not to put your boots back on to try and go back to the field? Because I know there was a lot of times where I thought, okay, man, I'm going to leave everything. I don't want to do sales anymore. I just want to go play rugby again. What was that thing that kind of motivated you?
I think I'd pretty much achieved, well, not achieved, because I didn't play 100 games for South Africa. I didn't play 50 games for South Africa. I played 6 tests, which I'm very proud of. But I'd achieved a level in that rugby had allowed me to live in different places throughout the world. I'd lived in Australia. I'd lived in the United Kingdom, in Belfast, in Northern Ireland. I'd lived in Italy. I'd had a time where I spent that time with my wife as well, where she entered into my life when I was about 32, 33 years of age, and I was traveling over to play in Ulster, came back with the Bulls, and then finishing off in Italy. So she was part of that journey as well. And I guess I'd had it, you'd had your injuries. I've got a few ligaments and tendons missing and gaps in my muscles, and with all the injuries that you have as a rugby player. And eventually you realise now it is time now for me to move on. And yes, you can try hang on, but you can try hang on too long, and you're actually going to do yourself an injustice. And I just felt that the time was right to retire when I did. And the amazing thing is the Bulls won Super Rugby the year after I retired, when I'd been at the Bulls. But and they had such a good Bulls side at that stage, but it was the right time for me to exit. And God's got His own timeline as well, and you can't fight that. And I think it was right. And there's life after rugby. As I said, I've had lots of amazing experiences. It's not like those things just suddenly stop. Now you stop rugby and then life's over and nothing else happens.
Exactly. Yeah.
We've had the birth of our second child, our boy. We've had amazing things that we've experienced as a family, and there's been business success, there's been business failure, there's been business disappointment, there's been business excitement, there's been travel, there's been times when we haven't been able to do anything. So you go through this whole cycle of life, and it's important to go through that cycle, because it's at the end of the day, well, your life has got to become a testimony, and the way that we live it and the way that we exercise the various options that we get given throughout our life, I believe.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think something that also that you said now, how important a testimony is as well. So I want to encourage the rugby players as well. Remember the good days that you've been playing rugby, hang on to those memories, but also use it as a testimony for when the day ends and you put your boots in the cupboard, that there's still a purpose, there's still a calling in your life for life after rugby. And yeah, so Warren, this is the part where we come to the last part of the show. And I just want you to give a message to all South Africans out there currently now in lockdown, and just a word of encouragement from your side. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're in a very tough period as a world. If we look at the world at the moment, I think 80% of the global workforce is not working, is always at home, always based at home, and they can't be out there. We've seen early in the week that the oil price unbelievably dropped below zero. But so it's and I mentioned at the beginning, we're facing disruption. We've all been forced into our homes, and we are privileged enough, Nicola, my wife and I, and my kids to have a beautiful home that we can live in. So we've got this beautiful home now, but it gives us moment to pause, gives us moment to reflect, and gives us moment to think what's taken place and what we've got coming forward. And I believe the best is still to come. I believe that this disruption that we've had, you look at many great things have come from when people are forced to sit still and think for a bit. Sometimes we're chasing, and I'm racking up kilometers on my car every single day, driving to Sandton, driving to Pretoria, then back to Sandton, and then go pick kids up, and then I'm here. And before, doing 250 Ks a day on my vehicle. And life is so hectic and so fast. And suddenly now we've been told to slow down and to actually sit and think about things. The best is definitely, I believe, still to come. And I believe this is going. We're not going to go back to where we were before, and we don't want to go back to where we were before, because a lot of people that are going to listen to this, if we go back 3-4 weeks ago, they were actually complaining about where they were before. So we don't actually want to go back there. We're going to go back to a different normal. That normal is going to be different. It's going to be a new normal, and it's going to be an improved normal. We're doing an interview here on Zoom. If we'd had to do this 3-4 weeks ago, we probably would be meeting somewhere with a camera or something, and we wouldn't be doing this kind of meeting. So we can change. Our kids are doing school online at the moment. It's very tough to do that, I must be honest. Even our little 11-year-old, my wife and I are battling to help an 11-year-old with their schoolwork, which actually gives a bit of concern for us. But it is what it is, and it's testing us, and I think we're going to come out of this so much better. And we've obviously got to, I think our president has stood up and taken some very, very bold steps. We've got a lot of, I think, people trying to help other people. And yes, we're all isolated in our own homes, but I don't think we've ever been more unified than what we've been right now. We are unified as a country. We don't whatever political party, wherever you come from, whatever race or age or denomination, we are together and want to get this through this together as a race, as a nation, and as a people, I believe.
No, definitely. And thanks for that encouraging words. And I think it's definitely something that we can hold to heart. But just before I go, I actually saw a post of you on Instagram with Spar, with 3 goods that you bought, and you made that challenge to those guys. So I want to just make sure, guys, go on Warren's Instagram, make sure you look at that post. Make sure that you go and support that cause and that view, and let's help one another to stay blessed. And it's always blessed to be a blessing. So Warren, thank you very much for this interview. I really appreciate it. Guys, go to my YouTube channel, go to my Instagram. You'll be able to view this, share this with your friends and family. And I'm excited to hear how this has changed your life. And if you're struggling with personal things, you're more than welcome to DM me. I'll be there for you. I'll be there to chat with you. And thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, cheers, Ivan. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, man, Warren. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Sure.
No problem.